saving their money that last day. They're like, I don't know what they do. They spend all their money or something in this model. But if I care a lot about the future and I don't really kind of value the present any more than the future, then I would continue to save because I know that by saving, I'm going to have a higher K-star and I'll make me better off tomorrow. So one's individual intertemporal discount rate is going to govern optimal saving here. So we're not going to derive that, but if you write down a 2-period model, you can see, and with a sort of optimal savings rate, you'll see that your discount rate drives that saving rate, very importantly. What's another factor that drives how much you would save here? Yeah. Exactly. So the other key factor is going to be the shape of that function u. If that function u, again, is very concave, so I really want to make sure I have that first unit of consumption. I don't care that much about all those additional units. I'm going to behave differently from someone who sort of values accumulating more and more and more and more consumption. So those are going to be the two things. The intertemporal discount rate and the shape of that function u will determine optimal savings. So if anybody's interested in that, we can talk more about it, or something maybe the GSIs can talk about in section. We're not going to go into it here, but there's well-known growth models all 50 years ago that endogenize the savings rate and extend this framework. And so for people who are really interested in this framework, that's something we could talk about doing in section, or you could ask me about. There was another hand. Do you hear that?
Yeah. Are these relative values accurate between the savings and the consumption? Isn't it generally that people consume a larger portion of their income the next day?
Yeah, definitely. So I really portrayed it this way because it's easier to see the intersections with the blue line this way. So it would probably be that people are, in America, saving negatively because we're so frugal and pioneer spirit and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so there'll be a lot, sort of, the S times Y curve would be down here, for sure, that's right. But if I do that, then I won't be able to show you the intersection with the blue lines as well. So I kind of pushed it up. So just think of it as sort of the same basic point, just a little clearer exposition. But that's a very good point. Yeah? That's a very deep question, which is great. So what economists do is they try to simplify, and they say the core of your well-being is being able to eat enough and wear clothes and that kind of stuff. And that's the sort of first input into utility, is consumption. And so if we're going to put one thing in your utility, it's going to be sort of meeting these basic consumption needs. And so that's why it's modeled that way. Of course, individual utility is a function of many things, and everybody's different. There's tremendous heterogeneity in what makes people happy. But this is the simplified version. So focusing on material resources here. We're basically focusing on accumulation of resources. That's what capital is. So we're also talking about the consumption of those resources. So we're not talking about how much people value in their utility, freedom, or all these other things. They're not in this model. But they matter to people. Does that make sense? We will. There'll be a couple other parts in the term where we come back to utility as a modeling tool. We're not going to focus too much on the deeper question of what makes people happy or how we should model it, other than that we will talk about politics at times and the importance of democracy and things like that. We're not going to put them in the utility function, but I think implicitly when we talk about how important they are, I think it's implicit that they're in there. That's consumption. So consumption is the difference between income Y and how much you save, which is S times Y. Utility is a function that I haven't portrayed here. It's just the U prime greater than 0 just means it's just increasing in consumption. That's all we need to get the basic point that I'm better off with more consumption, basically. But most people think there is concavity there, meaning most people think that first Lexus is great, but the third one, less important. Did you ever hear that? Say that again? Do you want to answer that, or does someone else have a thought on what consumption is if we're not a K-star? It's always a difference. Exactly. It's still a difference. Just sort of definitionally. Exactly. So that's still consumption, yeah. But it points to something here. When we think about growth and what drives growth, we're going to come back to this in a few minutes. If I'm going to rely on saving to drive growth, we saw the K-star increases in S. It can only take me so far. First of all, I can't save more than 100% of my income in this model. Now, in the real world, you can borrow. And poor countries and firms with expansion plans do borrow. So you can actually save negatively. But in this model, you can't. You're constrained only to save up to 100%. But once you do that, you're not consuming much. So you're not really getting much out of your development if you're saving all of it. So it sort of points to the limitation of a physical capital-driven, savings-driven growth strategy and development strategy. And that's something that people have commented on for a long time. And Bill Easterly, in his article on your reader, makes that point very strongly. We shouldn't be thinking of sort of saving our way to growth. Okay. Now, another comparative static here. What happens if the savings rate increases? We just talked about that in the equation. So if S prime is greater than S, so the savings rate increases, K-star increases. If I save more, I'll accumulate more over time. But as we mentioned, saving is bounded, so you can only get so far with that. And you have this consumption cost. That's one comparative static. A comparative static just means, let's take a solution here. We have an equation which is K-star equals a function of various stuff. Let's see how that K-star changes when we move around the parameters in that equation. That's what the comparative statics are. So now we've shifted around S. S goes up, K-star goes up. What about technology? A, broadly defined, technology and institutions. We saw A and S kind of enter into the K-star solution similarly. When A goes up, you get richer. You're using every unit of capital more efficiently. The difference between how we typically model saving and technology A is there's no clear reason why A is bounded. Saving may be bounded in this model, to the extent you can't borrow. Of course, you can borrow, that's not quite as clear. But A may not, the change in A, the growth in A, the improvement in technology may not slow down over time. In fact, a number of studies of production technologies actually suggest that over the last few centuries, the change in A has accelerated. So if you look at the change in productivity per worker, productivity per unit of capital, so productivity per input, between 1300 and 1500, it's kind of flat. Not true between 1900 and 2000. 1800 to 1900 was pretty good, but 1900 to 2000 even more, and so on. So there's so much investment of human resources and financial resources going into producing better technologies. That technological change seems to be going. Now, maybe one day it'll slow down. Maybe tomorrow. Who knows? Maybe we'll run out of good new ideas. But the historical record, and there's a number of studies on this, trying to measure A as best we can, doesn't suggest that A is bounded in some really clear way, the way saving may be. Yeah?
So saving is pretty much identical to that.
Yeah, exactly, because there's no borrowing or lending. Huh?
Really, it's an inside the model that where should we place that? We could place it in a different logical way when we would be in technology, right? Because we have buy land for our neighbor or something like that.
That's right.
Accelerate A or that's good how to
Yeah, that's a great point. So you've raised this, so for people who couldn't hear, you raised this good point about where should the saving be going? And here the assumption is all the saving and investment is going back into inputs. But I just told you the example of all these resources going into improving A. So there was a sort of big intellectual change in the 1980s in economics where people started modeling exactly what you said, which is let's talk about capital not just going into more capital, but all these resources going into changing A. I'm trying to model that process and understand it and try to understand how knowledge workers convert resources into technology and all that. And those are what were called endogenous growth models. And there was a wave of what are called endogenous growth models. Remember I told you before this distinction between exogenous and endogenous. So in the older models, before the endogenous growth models, you got growth in the model because there was an assumption that A was changing for some reason, unmodeled. It was exogenous. Endogenous growth models try to say, hey, how should we allocate our resources between human capital accumulation, physical capital investment, and investment in new technology, basically, to optimize growth. And that's how the world really works. So that was a big improvement, and that's what endogenous frameworks look like. So you put your finger on a very important point. Yeah? Sorry, say that again? Between these two, what are people's thoughts on that? Is consumption higher here, or is consumption higher here? Tell me why? Yeah.
It's the same, because if you look at the determinants of consumption, it's also raised by the factor A. So if you say,
Right, so basically, we could model consumption, that difference, as, I think, 1 minus S times Y. Y is just driven by K star. So it's really 1 minus S times A, K star to the alpha. So as K star increases, consumption increases. So consumption actually does grow. So these curves are kind of increasing proportionally. So since I have a constant share of my income saved and consumed, as my income rises, my consumption rises. The proportion doesn't change by assumption, but the actual consumption does increase. Just because S is sort of given in the system. Okay, another comparative static, the kind of third one is D, depreciation. This may be the least sort of maybe intellectually interesting in some ways, but I'll talk about an extension or an interpretation that may be interesting. If D goes from D to D star, the slope of that curve changes, the blue curve, and now all of a sudden, with a steeper curve, actually here, this is D star falls, sorry. As D star falls, the new depreciation rate D star is less than D, and that means every unit of capital lasts longer, so we have more capital. So K star rises. Now one application of this, beyond the sort of like, oh, my machine doesn't break down as fast, would have to do with human capital. So think about depreciation in terms of human resources and human capital. If life expectancy falls, or maybe more accurately, if adult mortality rates rise, you're going to be losing skilled workers faster. That's going to be equivalent to a higher depreciation rate, and we would think with lower K star. So I'm investing in this input, but I'm not getting that much production out of it if there's a very high adult mortality rate. What's the sort of obvious historical relevance of this to sub-Saharan Africa? So war could be one, so war is an example. I was thinking of HIV/AIDS, but those would be two very good examples. So if you think that a lot of the mortality in the HIV/AIDS epidemic occurs among prime age adults, then those are often very skilled, experienced people. I'm leaving aside the human cost and the human suffering here and talking in these very blunt sort of economic terms. Not because the human suffering doesn't matter, but just to think through this in the model. Prime age adults who are skilled are lost from the workforce. They're lost from the population when they die. That would be equivalent to a very high depreciation rate of human capital investment, right, of human capital. So you'd expect per capita earnings to fall. Now, a point was raised before about population. You were making the point about how population would be interesting here. What is the countervailing force what I just described about? I just said HIV/AIDS, high mortality rate, loss of human capital, lower K star. Other economists have hypothesized about another channel, a population-driven channel for HIV/AIDS that could go in the other direction. Can anybody think of what that could be? Again, extending this model. Yeah.
if HIV and AIDS rates are really high in countries, plus people want to migrate there, that's equal to war. There's a lot of war there. No one's really trying to move in there. So the population growth rates would be lower.
Okay, so migration could be one channel. Isn't the one people are focused on, but it's worth thinking about. There's another almost more immediate channel to it. Yeah. Okay, so if birth rate falls, population can fall. What's the sort of immediate change in population? Yeah. Right. So okay. So both of you guys are saying interesting points. They're almost like the secondary points. The sort of immediate thing is that a lot of adults die very quickly. In some countries, there was really, mortality rates from HIV/AIDS have thankfully leveled off in the last few years. But a lot of adults dying. You think about the physical capital stock now. You have a lot of physical capital and fewer people. Physical capital per capita or per worker could rise actually. So there's a paper, and I'll write the name on the board, which we don't teach in this course. Oops. I don't really need red chalk yet. By a researcher at the LSE named Alwyn Young. It was a paper in the Quarterly Journal of Economics 8 years ago, 7 years ago now, on this point, trying to work out macroeconomically which of these different effects sort of will dominate in sub-Saharan Africa. So his claim is there's a terrible human cost of HIV/AIDS, yes, but it's going to raise per capita incomes because of this population effect. You can imagine how controversial this paper was. And then, he's someone that courts controversy, actually, and so he titled the paper, The Gift of the Dying. So, obviously he did that on purpose, right? Because we're talking about it right now. That was the goal. So, but he worked, so the point is controversial, the title's controversial. The actual macroeconomics in the paper is kind of standard and kind of works through this insight, less population, same amount of physical capital, per capita people might be richer. Any reactions or thoughts? Do you think that the other sort of countervailing forces will be more important? Yeah.
So how would you, in theory, kind of understand the growth rate of that country? If there's more less, more physical capital per person.
Yeah.
How do you model? Would this all model be like tuition?
It's really interesting because he, in the main result in that paper, does take saving as given. I mean, the Solow model is a model where you sort of take technology as given and saving as given. You just do the simple exercise we did here. So he thinks of a framework not that different than this framework as important. He does extend it to think about human capital implications. Like there is some work showing that the AIDS orphans get less schooling, so there will be a kind of human capital implication. He tries to work through 3 or 4 of the channels, but he says that this sort of population effect is going to be important. And he actually focuses on the effect you said, the fertility effect. That was very important in his model. So he said that when people are HIV positive, they have fewer kids. That would sort of contribute to this. Yeah.
You have to think about like maintenance. Let's say you have a road system that's really well developed,
Yeah.
and half the people die or using the roads. So if you have to maintain a road system with half as many people, like you know,
Yeah.
type stuff might be affected.
Yeah, he doesn't model that. There'd also be less traffic on the road. I don't know. We could go the other way. In the back? Oh, okay, I was pointing actually. Why don't we do the two of you? But why don't you go first? You're saying they might or might not? I see what you're saying. There could be real distributional differences in who's affected, and we have to figure in changes in inequality into this potentially. And okay, that's interesting. You have another point?
I was going to say, if you increase the discount rate, you get a lot of kid, and that's one experience that people might not on a massive scale. You have really high discount rates, you know, you're
I've always personally thought that effect was really important. It isn't something that he gets into. So, in addition to seeing people and sort of saying, well, how to put it, I'm looking at the example of people older than me and the world is a bleak place and all this. Think of it from your own point of view. If you're in a society where 25% of people become HIV positive in the era before there was treatment, and you're a kid, you're 12 years old, you're 15, you might say, well, I may become one of those 25%. Like, why am I going to invest in my schooling if I'm probably just going to die at 28 or 30? Which really would, basically by shortening people's time horizons, is really going to, people are going to just effectively be discounting the future a lot more, potentially. So that's an effect that a couple of scholars have tried to get at, but they're sort of inconclusive evidence on it. Yeah. Yeah, it gets back to the very interesting point before about inequality. To get at this channel, the sort of life expectancy channel, it really matters who's dying. If it's really high-skilled folks, incredibly productive high-skilled folks who are dying, then it would have more of an effect in a model like this, because more human capital would be lost. So there's, in this 5 minutes or 2 minutes, we've come up with at least 3 or 4 very good stories and channels, and Alan Young goes through some of them to his credit, and others he kind of doesn't model, or he didn't have data on them, or things like that. But this has been a very controversial paper, and to the extent he's kind of claiming that the HIV/AIDS epidemic is part of Africa's growth resurgence, is an argument that's met a lot of resistance in sort of even in mainstream economics as well. I mean, but if you got a lot of attention, you're talking about it, so he got a lot of publicity. You had your hand up before. Your question was answered. Okay. Yeah. No, both of you.
With the projection that Africa is going to have the largest population
Yeah.
in 2050, does that mean the steady state is going to keep moving to the left? And does that still model that the population growth will shift downward?
Yeah. So well, 2 things. First, the growth projections take into account HIV/AIDS. Just to start with, just to be clear on that. To kind of feed a growing population or to keep up with the population growth, you need more capital and you need better technology. So, we're not highlighting it here, but we sort of made the point. I think people get intuitively that given a certain amount of resources today, if you're just going to keep people at the same living standards, it's a much more challenging task with rapid population growth. You have to match all this human capital and labor with lots of physical capital. Physical capital has to somehow be matched with that labor, and that could be part of the challenge. Yeah.
Not only does individual level for savings for investments for education go down, as a whole, also go down, the investments towards things education.
So you're saying that in the aggregate overall, under HIV/AIDS, you're saying educational investments could go down. Yeah. So that's, again, with this higher discount rate, you might see an aggregate effect, not just for the people who have HIV themselves, but even for others who fear they might get it in the future, they may stop investing if they think their life expectancy is very short, for instance. Let me take one more comment on this. Yeah.
The biggest limitation in Young's argument is that capital per person, capital per labor, or income per capita is a very good measure of well-being, welfare, but it's not true because it's so much more about how the better for the society. Both those numbers are like, I think there's a limitation there. And I have an emotional reaction to this.
Yeah, you should. You should have an emotional reaction because I think that was why he set it up that way and had that point. So let's imagine extending. He's thinking of a very particular outcome. So he's saying, I'm going to focus on income per capita or income per worker among survivors. And that number would go up under his assumptions. Now, it's not clear if that's even true because there's other researchers, plenty of other researchers that found that countries hard hit by HIV/AIDS didn't have any sort of growth increase. They maybe even had a dropping growth. So it's a very controversial point in terms of the research. But Alan Young is saying, look, I'm only going to focus on survivors. Their well-being is going to increase in material terms. Now, that ignores 2 very obvious things. One is the feeling of loss and misery and unhappiness from having their relatives, friends, and neighbors die. So their utility almost certainly would fall. Even if they're a few percent richer, they're experiencing funerals every week and they're miserable. That's one. Second, we're not talking about the well-being of those who died. So, and he says this in the article, to be fair to him, he's like, I'm not saying sub-Saharan Africans are better off with HIV. Clearly, it'd be better not to have had HIV/AIDS and have all the death and human misery. Of course. I mean, he does say that. But he's just focused on this one quantity, which is material living standards among survivors. Once you count the loss of well-being from all these people dying very young and dying premature deaths, that must greatly outweigh any small per capita income increase in his model. Does that make sense? Okay, let me just take one last comment here and then go to the next slide. Yeah. Yeah. I hadn't even planned to talk about this, so this is good. You guys are interested. I mean, it's a pretty provocative point.
In terms of, I agree with this point, in terms of maintaining and occupying this infrastructure, you still understand how the working population is increasing. So production just like that as well.
Oh, sure. Total output could definitely fall. It would just be output per capita. It's like a very narrow thing, and sort of it's set up in a way that makes it sound like it's great that there's HIV/AIDS, even the title of the paper. But then he says, no, that's not really what I'm talking about. It's really just per capita income among survivors. So, but let me keep going, and we'll have a chance to talk about some of the other comparative stats. Maybe we can circle back. So I want to just talk about the Africa case overall again, and maybe leave Alan Young. I'm going to even erase his name from the board. Just for a second. We can come back to it. Out of sight, out of mind. That's my view in general. So K0, what is K0? This is going to be capital per worker in period 0, in our economic model. So 1950, 1960, when lots of the 50s and 60s, lots of African and Asian countries become independent. Oops. Oh, I got caught. Okay, break it. I'm being one of those people who's standing like this. Hello. Okay, give me 10 seconds to try to fix it. If there are any engineers around, mechanical engineers. Chemistry, like there's a gas. Not there. Okay, is my 10 seconds up? Shoot. I'm not a surgeon. Shoot, come on. Okay. Put it in my coat pocket. You think so? It's not going to kind of come out funny? How about this? Grab my butt. Okay, enough screwing around. We'll fix this later. So 1960, K0, initial level of development productivity per unit of capital. And let's just assume we're going to have this term Africa. We've already talked about how different regions of sub-Saharan Africa are so different.